Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to the channel for more Destiny 2 news and intel. And in today's video, I have not one, but two different farms and glitches to share with you. They're sort of related, though they pertain to different things. And I would encourage everybody to jump on Destiny 2 as soon as possible in order to do either one of these. One you will possibly be able to do tomorrow, or maybe the next day. The other you can do right now. But as I said, I would encourage everybody to do these quickly and as soon as you can, because I have a feeling that they could get patched overnight, maybe at a upcoming reset, or at the very least nerfed into infinity. We all know how Bungie likes to do that impromptu kind of nerfing, especially when it comes to fun and usable farms and glitches like we occasionally get. We've already had a few leave us this season, which I find to be very unfortunate, but these are still around, and they primarily will pertain to two weapons specifically. One, the crate, which you can see me farming here, and the other from Kepler. Now, the other one I'm going to focus on a little bit more towards the end of the video, but this one I just wanted to talk about quickly, as you might not even know that you can purchase multiple weapons from Banshee 44 through the focusing page. I think a lot of people just go to Banshee and see what he has for the weekly loot. But in the case of the crate, I would always encourage everybody to pick up one when it is available if you have a specific role on it, which you can see me looking for here. But when it is on the focus decoding page, I would encourage everybody to pick this up, especially solo players or novices to PvP, because this weapon, because of a specific perk, is absolutely broken at the moment. Now, it's specifically this weapon. The perk itself is also somewhat broken, but it's really because this weapon is sort of old and hasn't been updated. So, of course, it is a vanilla weapon. It can't be enhanced. It can't be crafted. But because of the perk Adagio, which, if you didn't know, basically gives you increased damage once you defeat an enemy. But it slows down the weapon. So, not a full archetype slower, but if you're a, say, 720 auto rifle, like the crate is, which is a very fast auto rifle, it would be slowed to, I think, about a 650. I don't know if that's exactly correct, but down a bit, maybe even down to 600. However, because this weapon is old and hasn't been updated, this doesn't happen. So the damage perk that you get from Adagio will stay, and the weapon will continue to fire at 720 RPM. Now, if you've never fired a 720 RPM auto rifle when it has a damage perk like that active, I would suggest you go and do it. And this is a very easy one to activate. Now, it's better because of the potential slowdown that you're supposed to get than things like kill clip. So if you're asking why would this be better than other kill buffs or enemies defeated buffs that increase your damage, that's the reason. Because it's actually much more substantial than those at the cost, supposedly, of the speed of the weapon. However, like I said, with the crate, it's not happening. So when this weapon does become available for focused decoding, I would definitely go and farm out at least one roll with Adagio, because it is really broken. This is for people who don't play Trials of Osiris that often, but want to jump in or just have to do some Crucible for who knows what other reason. Maybe you have to complete some seasonal challenges. In any case, this is sort of the secret meta weapon at the moment. Now, the other weapon, or the other farm that we're going to talk about, is over on Kepler. Now, this one, I have no idea when it's going to get patched, but the Sublimation Scout Rifle also can roll with Adagio. And this is a 150 RPM Scout Rifle. Adagio is not broken on this weapon. but I believe this weapon is doing maybe a little bit more damage than it's meant to. So when Adagio is active, this weapon is slowed to a 130. I don't think that's slow enough, if I'm being honest, because this weapon will 2-tap in PvP at almost any range once Adagio is active. And like I said, it's very easy. All you need to do is get one easy kill, which is going to be a 3-shot anyway with this scout rifle. And then once Adagio is active and it lowers to 130, I doubt you'll actually notice it in terms of the speed of the weapon, but you're definitely going to notice it in terms of the damage that it is doing. It will be immense. Anything, I don't even know if it needs to be 2 shots to the head. I think it'll just be a 2-tap to the body. Now, fortunately, these 2 weapons actually can work in tandem. So you could have the auto rifle and the scout rifle, both pretty broken at the moment, on the same character in a PvP playlist. Now, of course, these things are not going to be great for necessarily PvE, though I can imagine the sublimation actually being fairly decent in PvE as well. But for anybody who doesn't play PvP that often, these are going to be great equalizers against those that do play often. Now, the best way in order to get a sublimation, and possibly a tier 5 one, obviously, is to have the upgrades available through Kepler and to load in on Mythic difficulty. And then head to the Loot Cave. Now, if you don't know what the Loot Cave is, I will lead you on the path there now. I have shown this clip before. I'm sure you might have seen this elsewhere. But essentially, you can get a chance to have a drop on any enemy kill while on Kepler, but the higher the enemy, this is a very old school method, so things like yellow bars and orange bar enemies are going to have a higher drop percentage, also things like champions. But there is a place on Kepler that essentially has infinite enemies of this level spawning all the time. Now, the reason you want to have it on Mythic, that's really only if you want to get the higher tier drops. So in order to get a tier 4 or tier 5 on any of the Kepler weapons, you're going to need to do it on Mythic and also have those 2 power-ups unlocked. But you can also use this farm anytime. And really, if you're just looking for a sublimation with Adagio, it doesn't need to be a tier 5. So long as you have Adagio, it's going to be great. Even if you don't have an enhanced version of Adagio, even just on a tier 1, it's going to be amazing. I think the tier system gets a little bit overhyped in terms of the weapons. I know that in terms of armor, it helps a lot with the stats and with our builds. So unlike in previous seasons where armor really wasn't relevant and weapons were really all that was relevant, and having an Adept or an Adept enhanced or even just a normal enhanced versus something that wasn't any of those played a part. I actually never thought it really played a huge part as much as people wanted to think it did. I actually think armor tier system as we have it is doing a lot more in terms of that kind of build crafting that I think people wanted previously that they just weren't getting, even if they wanted to believe they were. Same thing with crafting. Crafting kind of had that element to it, but it really wasn't quite delivering. I think armor is delivering. I think maybe they need to do a little bit more with the tier system on weapons, even though we get a lot more perks. You know, I don't know if they're necessarily any better in terms of if I get a roll that is really good, there might be a difference between an enhanced version and a non-enhanced version, but the difference between a tier 2 with the roll that I want, the god roll, and a tier 5 that has all the options, but maybe doesn't have the god roll or also has the god roll, is going to be none. There's really not going to be any difference in terms of damage output. So I do think, though, tier 5s give you all those options. If they really want that chase for the weapons, like we have the chase for the armor, in the tier bracket goes, I think Bungie needs to make those weapons actually just do more damage, not just have more options. Because really there are always roles that you want either for PvP or PvE. In this case, this is Adagio, so that's really all you're looking for. And once you have it, you're really going to be only using this weapon for PvP. But if you want it for different variations, different activities, I think they have to do more to focus on that. But that's just my opinion. I'd always be interested to hear all your thoughts and comments down below. So now I'm just going to cut to a few clips of me using the crate with Adagio active, and you'll see that there is something broken about it. Occasionally, you know, I'll be fighting another Guardian, and if you've seen any other glitch weapons in the past where the health bar will just sort of disappear, it doesn't seem like it actually ticks down properly. That's kind of what happens here. Now, of course, I do have some damage buffs going at the same time, but being somebody who doesn't really play Crucible that often, I mean, I do play it occasionally, but I wouldn't say that I'm as good a Crucible player as I used to be. I found that this weapon had two things that it was doing really well. One, once Adagio was active, you felt the damage buff really start to chew through the enemies. Two, it actually had really good auto aim, so you could feel the hit detection. Now, I was using a roll with, I believe, a range masterwork, as well as I think it had ricochet rounds or it had high caliber rounds. I think those are probably the two things you would want, a range masterwork and maybe high caliber, or something that increases the range or sort of the staggering damage as you do it. But other than that, I think you could probably shop around with the different perks. I think anything with Adagio is going to be good. Just getting more range will be ultimately better. So here are those clips, but thank you all so much for watching today. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Let me know your thoughts and comments about any of these topics down below. I'll also give you other entries into the next giveaway for this video. Remember, we do one every 1,000 subscribers. You never want to miss out. When and if we reach 100,000 subscribers on the channel, we'll be giving away a new console or a video card if you play on PC. You can also leave a hashtag Edge of Fate or a hashtag any of the topics of discussion. Not that specifically, but anything we talked about today, leave a hashtag down below. For another entry into the next giveaway for this video. Thanks for everybody who has contributed to the channel in the last month or two. I will do some shout outs on the next video, but I just wanted to kind of convey this information today. And if you are somebody who has either left a tip on the channel or has donated over the past month, I know who you are, and just be on the lookout for the next video for all those shout outs. And of course, if you choose to do so on this video, remember you can also receive a firm request from myself and a shout out on a future video. And once again, I am Wilhelm Scream. Thanks so much for watching, and of course, we will see you next time.